Welcome to Movies Recap channel. Today, we will recap the American neo-noir psychological thriller film Disturbia, released in 2007. In this movie, a teen under house arrest starts spying on his neighbors and witnesses troubling events that make him believe he's living next door to a serial killer. The movie begins with a teenage boy named Cale and his dad, Daniel, going fishing together. Sadly, they get into a car accident on the way back, and Daniel dies. After a year, Cale is still very sad and lifeless. One day, near the end of the school year, he falls asleep in his Spanish class, and his teacher, Senor Gutierrez, scolds him. When the teacher asks Cale what his dad would think of his behavior, Cale gets really angry and punches the teacher in the face. Normally, this could land him in juvenile detention for a year, but a kind judge gives him a different punishment. Instead of detention, Cale gets 3 months of house arrest. He has to wear an ankle monitor and a sensor that keeps him close to his house and yard, so he can't go beyond those boundaries. Later, Cale finds out that one of the police officers watching him is the teacher's mean cousin. This guy enjoys making Cale feel embarrassed and humiliated in front of others. There's this one time when he's chasing some boys who played a prank on him, and he goes past the boundaries of his yard. The mean cousin forces him to the ground. At first, Cale passes the time by playing video games, but soon, his mom, Julie Breck, cancels his subscriptions to iTunes Music and Xbox Live. She even cuts the power cord to his TV to make him help with chores at home. With nothing much to do, Cale starts spying on his neighborhood. One night, Cale gets curious about his neighbor, Robert Turner. Robert comes home in a 1967 Ford Mustang with a dented fender that matches the description from a news report about a serial killer in Austin, Texas. Cale and his best friend, Ronnie, start watching the girl next door, Ashley Carlson. She notices them spying when Ronnie's binoculars accidentally hit her window. Eventually, she decides to join them. At first, Ronnie and Ashley don't take Cale's suspicions seriously because they think he's just guessing based on what he sees. But as time goes on, they get more and more involved. They start to believe that something is seriously wrong in Turner's house. They think he might be kidnapping and hurting women in there. Later, Cale sees a woman that Turner picked up from a nightclub. She looks really scared and tries to run away from his house. But later, she leaves, and everything seems fine. Then, Ashley throws a party, but Cale ruins it by playing loud music from his window. After talking with Ashley, they start kissing. But then, there's a scene where blood splatters on Turner's window, and they don't notice it. Later, Cale and Ashley see Turner dragging a heavy bag to his garage. Ashley says she saw blood on it. Cale tells Ronnie to break into Turner's car to get his garage door opener. Turner goes to the store to buy a shovel. Ronnie gets the garage door opener code, but accidentally leaves his cell phone behind. That night, Cale keeps spying on Turner and leaves messages on Ronnie's cell phone. When Ronnie realizes he left his phone in Turner's car, they try to get it back by opening the garage door. It takes some effort, but they succeed. Ronnie finds a bag in the garage and sees hair and blood in it. They both start thinking it might be a human body. Suddenly, the garage door closes and Ronnie hides inside the house. Cale tries to help him and accidentally alerts the police about breaking his house arrest rules. The police come and search the house but can't find Ronnie. They check the garage and find out the bag actually contains a deer that Turner hit on the interstate. Cale worries that Ronnie might be hurt, but he later learns that Ronnie escaped without any injuries. Ronnie was afraid of getting caught, so he didn't stay and explain what happened when they broke into the house. After a little while, Cale's mom, Julie, goes over to talk to Turner herself. She hopes to convince him not to press charges. While she's there, Cale watches a tape that Ronnie had left on, recording everything during his escape from Turner's house. In the tape, Ronnie accidentally films something hidden behind an air vent. Cale zooms in to see it better. It looks like a clear bag with something inside. Cale zooms in even more and realizes it's the body of a girl. Right at that moment, Turner knocks out Julie. Turner goes into Cale's house and hits Ronnie on the head with a baseball bat. Then, he goes after Cale. Cale tries to signal the police by unplugging his proximity sensor and runs outside to set off his ankle monitor. But in the end, he doesn't manage to escape. Later on, Turner knocks Cale out and ties up his arms and legs with duct tape. He also tapes Cale's mouth shut. Then, Turner reveals his evil plan. He wants to make it look like Cale killed his own mother because of the sadness over his dad's death and Ronnie because he annoyed Turner by dating Ashley. After that, Turner plans to end his own life. We see Turner forcing Cale to write a letter to Ashley, making it look like a suicide note. Ashley unexpectedly enters Cale's room, surprising Turner. Cale manages to knock Turner down, giving both him and Ashley a chance to escape. They jump out of Cale's window and land in Ashley's pool. This also alerts the police that Cale has gotten away. Later, Cale grabs a pair of garden shears and goes to Turner's house to look for his mother. Inside a room that looks like an operating theater, Cale discovers some stuff that belonged to Turner's previous victim, a red-headed club girl. girl. He also finds a wig, suggesting that it was Turner who Cale saw leaving the house. After that, Officer Gutierrez shows up, hoping to charge Cale for breaking into the house. But Turner sneaks up behind him and breaks his neck, killing him. Meanwhile, Cale goes to the basement of the house. He falls through the floor and ends up in a pool with several dead bodies in various stages of decay. He manages to climb out and finds his mom tied up and unable to speak under the foundation. Suddenly, Turner appears from behind Julie and tries to silence both Cale and his mother. Julie stabs Turner in the leg, giving Cale a chance to kill Turner using the garden shears. As Cale and Julie leave the garage, the police arrive, and their terrifying ordeal with Turner is finally over. In the next scene, Cale is in his kitchen, getting his ankle monitor taken off. He's finally released from house arrest because he behaved well. Then, Cale decides to get back at the neighborhood kids who played a mean prank on him. They put a bag of flaming dog poop on his porch, which made him break the rules of his house arrest while chasing. Those same kids also waterbombed him on the night of Ashley's party. Cale saw them watching inappropriate stuff on TV through his window. Now, he's watching them again, but this time with Ashley. He calls their mom, pretending to be from their satellite TV company, and tells her that someone is watching adult movies in their room. While all this is happening, the boy's mom rushes into their room and finds them dealing with Cale's revenge. But then, he tells her that he's planning to do more because that was just his first move. Towards the end, Ashley and Cale are making out on a sofa when Ronnie, who is fine except for a black eye, interrupts them. He's filming them and plans to put the video on YouTube. However, they don't seem too bothered, except for Cale giving Ronnie a half-hearted middle finger.